Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you here today with an article from March 6th from PJ Media. Wondering if anybody has actually heard this yet. Seems like it's getting around in conservative media, but not everywhere. And I mean, more like somewhat lesser known conservative media. But the article is entitled, "Could a Bombshell Discovery Render All of Biden's Presidential Actions Null and Void?" And apparently I'm already off to a bad start because I can't read. But anyway, let's just get into this because this is pretty damning, and I hope this investigation or whatever they're doing for it ends pretty soon and they can figure this out. But it says the Biden presidency might have been the greatest con job ever perpetuated on the American people. A shocking investigation by the Heritage Foundation's Oversight Project has revealed that virtually every document bearing Joe Biden's signature during his presidency was signed by an auto pen, except for one. What makes this revelation particularly damning is that the only document confirmed to have Biden's actual signature was his letter announcing his withdrawal from the 2024 presidential race. Let that sink in for a minute. Because remember when House Speaker Mike Johnson revealed his discussion with Biden when Biden couldn't recall signing the executive order halting LNG exports? Now we know why. He probably didn't. The real question is, who did? Who was running the country while Biden was not all there? And that's been the big question for most of the Biden presidency was who's running the country. And the auto pen thing, I did read this article. I can't remember if it actually says what it was, but I think it's just kind of the way like the president has the order, but he's not there, but says like, yeah, it can go ahead and be signed or something like that, even like when he's not there and somebody else actually does it, but it's with his authorization. So it's still considered legal. So it's something like that. But anywho, let's keep going here, and got the embedded tweets here. Then the one from Lives of TikTok says, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey asked the DOJ to investigate whether Biden's cognitive mental decline allowed unelected officials to make decisions without his knowledge or approval. So let's go into that because the next sentence that she has there is something this article does actually get into. It says the use of the presidential auto pen dates back to the 1950s. And there's been much debate about its legality. In 2013, Barack Obama, because of course it started with him, because everything bad in this country seems to have started with him in the last, 15 years or whatever. It was 2008. So, okay, 17 years? Yeah, there you go. So it says, in 2013, Barack Obama became the first president to sign a bill into law using an auto pen. He was vacationing in Hawaii at the time. His office relied on a 30-page memo from President George W. Bush's legal team asserting that the president's presence was not required as long as said president had authorized the signature. So yeah, I guess I was pretty close in my definition of what the auto pen was. It says what's not clear in the case of Biden is who was running the auto pen and whether Biden was aware it was happening. Yeah, that's the difference here. So obviously Obama, as much as people may not like him, he wasn't exactly in cognitive distress, if you will, or decline, as Biden was. So it's a little bit of a different story here. It says Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is demanding that the Department of Justice investigate whether Biden's obvious cognitive decline allowed unelected bureaucrats to essentially run the government without presidential oversight. If this is true, and let's be honest, all signs point to yes, every executive order, every pardon, and every official action taken under Biden's name could be constitutionally void. And if they find out who did it, what exactly is the punishment for that? I mean, I don't know if that would be considered treason. I just don't know. Well, the punishment would be, I'm thinking like this dead space I have here. I don't know what that could possibly be, but I mean, there probably does need to be some sort of punishment. Back to the article. It says Bailey's letter to Michael E. Horowitz, the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, spells it out perfectly. And he wrote, I write to request that you conduct a full investigation into President Biden's mental capacity in his final days in office. By now, Biden's mental decline is famous. Under the 25th Amendment, his inability to make decisions should have meant a succession of power. Instead, it appears staffers and officers in the Biden administration may have exploited Biden's incapacity so they could issue orders without an accountable president of sound mind approving them. That would explain why the Biden administration's orders were aggressively much further to the left than any previous president. If, in fact, Biden staffers were exploiting his mental decline, those orders are null and void. And again, what would happen to these people? That's what I want to see is like, if they find out that, yeah, this was bad, then what happens to them? So it says the evidence is overwhelming. We know that Biden's handlers desperately tried to prevent anyone from meeting with him one-on-one. Even Democratic insiders admit the truth. DNC fundraiser Lindy Lee recently spilled the beans and acknowledged that Biden wasn't running the show. His staff, his wife, and Hunter were. Says, thanks to the Heritage Foundation's investigation, we now have proof that Biden's signature was automated throughout his presidency, which raises serious questions about whether he was aware of what was being signed in his name at all. The Oversight Project rightfully points out that since Biden revoked Trump's executive privilege, we can easily determine who controlled the auto pen and what safeguards, if any, were in place. The implications are staggering. We essentially had a presidency by proxy, with unelected staffers wielding presidential power while the man himself was barely cognizant enough to read a teleprompter. This isn't just a scandal, it's potentially the biggest constitutional crisis in American history. Yeah, I mean, if this was happening the other way around, we'd be hearing about it nonstop. But since he's a Democrat and the entire media just agrees with Democrats and everything, they're just like, we're not going to say anything about it. Anyway, says the American people deserve to know who was really calling the shots during the Biden administration. If these allegations prove true, every single action taken under Biden's name needs to be scrutinized and potentially nullified. The truth must come out, and those responsible must be held accountable. Do you think the mainstream media will cover this explosive auto pen scandal? Don't count on it, but PJ Media won't back down from exposing the truth about who was really running the Biden White House and then shilling for themselves. Okay. But yeah, again, this is just amazing. And I think, thank God Trump won, otherwise we'd probably never even see the beginnings of something like this, where the Missouri Attorney General sends a letter to the Inspector General of the DOJ saying this needs to be looked into. Because, if Kamala won, this just doesn't happen. But with Trump winning and the way he's cutting everything out of there, then, the government, then I'm glad this is something that's happening at this point. So what do you think about this? Do you think this should happen? Do you think they should go after the people who did this? What do you think the punishment should be if that's the case? Let me know in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.